The Ashes of the Betrayal, Book 1. The Curse. Chapter 1. The Awakening, Part 4/5. The Raven's Pass rose before them like a deep scar cut into the mountain's heart. The black basalt walls shone under the dim evening light, their rough surfaces polished by centuries of icy winds that whistled through the rocks with almost human voices. Every step their horses took echoed between the narrow natural walls, the sound multiplying until their slow march seemed like a ghostly army. Freya gently pulled the reins of Brandfuchs, her brown pony whose fur was now tangled with mud and melted snow. She wiped her face, feeling the dirt on her cheeks. Her red hair, normally tied in long elaborate braids to show her rank as a herbalist apprentice, now fell messy over her shoulders, framing a face covered in soot and frozen mud. "If my mother saw me like this," Freya muttered, looking at her broken dirty nails, "she'd make me scrub my hands with nettles until they shined." Lina didn't answer right away. Sitting stiffly on Silber, her gray horse, she looked like she was carved from ice. Her jet-black hair, which the mansion's maids used to brush with moon oils until it gleamed, now fell tangled to her waist, wild from the wind and their escape. Small twigs and dry leaves were caught in it, making her look like some wild forest creature. Freya studied her friend carefully. Lina's violet eyes, usually so expressive, inherited from her family's long line of moon-touched women, had lost their usual brightness but held a strange intensity. Her pale skin, which under candlelight used to look pearly, now seemed almost transparent, making the shadows under her eyes look like bruises. "I don't like this," Freya pointed at the narrow pass ahead, where the evening shadows grew longer. "It's the perfect place for an ambush." Lina blinked slowly as if waking from a deep dream. Her hands, scholars' hands used to turning pages, not holding swords, tightened around the family medallion hanging from her neck. "Adriano knows these mountains as well as my father," she finally said, her voice rough from disuse. "If he wanted to ambush us, he'd have picked a place with better cover. Here there's only one path." Freya frowned. There was something new in Lina's voice, a cold calculation she'd never heard before. The Lina she knew would have shivered at the thought of danger, would have suggested some clever plan from her strategy books. This new Lina spoke with the certainty of someone who had nothing left to lose. "Well, as long as you don't start spitting prophecies and floating above rocks, I guess we'll follow your lead," Freya tried to smile, reaching for their old jokes. "Though if you start glowing in the dark, I'll put you in a jar and use you as a lamp." For a moment, something cracked in Lina's expression. Her lips, chapped from cold and thirst, trembled slightly. "That was in first year at the academy," she murmured. "When the Glustabkäfer powder you brought exploded in my face." Freya laughed, remembering. "You asked for it. You said you wanted to shine in your studies. Besides," she lowered her voice dramatically, "who knew firefly dust was that flammable? Our shadows were burned into the dormitory walls, and for 3 days your face glowed when you blew out candles." A ghost of a smile touched Lina's lips. "Mother made us clean parchments for a month. And I was banned from the alchemy lab for 3 full moons." Freya pretended to tremble with outrage. As if one little explosion was reason enough to. A sudden howl of wind interrupted them, making both horses nervous. The sound echoed through the pass like the cry of some ancient being. Freya shivered, and not just from the cold. "We should find shelter. This storm won't be kind." Lina nodded, her brief relief vanishing as quickly as it came. "There's a cave ahead. Father," her voice cracked slightly, "showed it to me on my 10th birthday." The pass grew narrower as they climbed. In some places the walls were so close Freya could touch both sides at once. The ground, covered in half-melted snow and sharp pebbles, crunched under the horses' steps. Halfway up, the path curved sharply, revealing a natural viewpoint where they could see the valley behind them. In the distance, barely visible through the evening mist, a column of black smoke still rose from what had been Nordenlicht. Freya held her breath. There was no need to say the obvious. Lina stopped, her body shaking. For a moment, Freya feared she'd fall back into shock, but then her shoulders straightened with visible effort. "When I return," Lina said, her voice as cold as the wind, "I'll make Adriano watch everything he loves burn before I kill him." Freya didn't answer immediately. Lina's anger was understandable, even necessary, but there was something unsettling in how she said it, with the certainty of someone noting an appointment, not expressing rage. "First we must reach Nebelar," Freya finally said, choosing her words carefully. "After that, well, I guess I'll have to teach you more than just exploding firefly powder." The cave was larger than expected, a natural rock formation with a ceiling high enough to stand. On the back wall, someone, perhaps Alaric himself, had carved rough shelves holding supplies, wax candles wrapped in waterproof cloth, a half-empty sack of nuts, and leather bottles that revealed spiced mead when opened. Freya inspected each item with an expert eye while Lina lit a candle with the flint she always carried. The flickering light revealed ancient carvings, moon symbols mixed with runes even Lina didn't recognize. "This isn't just a shelter," Freya whispered, tracing the carvings. "It's a shrine." Lina nodded, walking to a section where 3 figures were carefully carved. The divine triad. "Look," Lina pointed. "Here the Nameless One is in the center." Freya moved closer. It was true. In all modern depictions she'd seen, the goddess of home stood central. "It's ancient," murmured Lina. "From when all 3 were equal. Before the god of war's priests rewrote history." Freya remembered academy debates about this, how the god of war's cult had grown over centuries especially in neighboring regions. How his priests, all noble-born men, justified conquests in his name. "Adriano always preferred that cult," Lina said suddenly as if reading Freya's thoughts. "He called the goddess of home weak. Said her teachings were for women and children." Freya snorted. "Well, look how he ended up. A coward who attacks at night and betrays friends. So manly." Lina didn't smile, but her expression softened slightly. "You're terrible." "It's my specialty," Freya bowed dramatically. Along with accidental explosions. Outside, the wind howled louder, bringing the first snowflakes of a coming storm. Freya looked out and cursed. "We won't leave here for hours." As Lina prepared sleeping areas with blankets from a corner, Freya checked their supplies. Goran's bag held silver coins and moonstones, but also something else. A small blue glass vial containing a powder that glowed faintly. "Stardust," Freya whispered, impressed. "Only the Monpriestrinen know how to make this." Lina approached, her face grim. "Mother must have given it to him." "Is for," she swallowed, "hiding us from sight." Freya nodded, storing the vial carefully. Stardust was legendary, it could make someone invisible under moonlight. But she knew its effects were temporary and the cost high. It drained the user's strength. The storm raged outside, but inside the cave, silence hung heavy between them. Freya studied Lina, her split lip, probably from falling off the horse, her blistered hands. But most worrying were her eyes. That violet gaze once bright with curiosity now burned with a cold fury Freya had never seen. "When we reach Nebelar," Lina began but Freya interrupted. "First we must get there. And with this storm we'll be here a while." Freya pulled a leaf-wrapped package from her vest. "Here. Mother gave me this for times of need. I suppose this qualifies." Unwrapping it revealed 2 portions of dense honey nut cake, Lina's favorite since childhood. Lina stared at it, then at Freya. For a moment she seemed ready to refuse. But then she took a small bite. "It tasted better when the cook used Valdera spices," she murmured. Freya grinned. "Well, after we overthrow Adriano, first we raid his spice cabinet. Priorities, right?" This time, Lina couldn't stop a short, real laugh. "You're impossible. And you're terrible at revenge plans," Freya nudged her. "First we loot the kitchen, then burn his favorite things and only then kill him slowly. Ruthless vengeance doesn't mean we can't have class." Lina didn't answer, but when Freya passed the mead bottle, her fingers didn't tremble. Outside, the storm roared, but inside the cave they had shelter. And though the road ahead was uncertain, Freya knew one thing. As long as they had honey cake and bad jokes, there was still hope. Somewhere on the cliffs, a raven cawed, a sound too human to be chance. And on the cave wall, in the flickering candlelight, the carving of the Nameless One seemed to smile wider.